so that when you strategize about what it means to come back and engage in this space. So over to you now. So comments, suggestions, feedback, that's what we will welcome, because that's what this session is about.
Thank you. Je parlerai en français aussi. C'est plus facile pour moi. Alors, je commence par remercier mes amis et mes collègues et camarades pour leur intervention. Elles ont très bien couvert toutes les problématiques, je dirais, qu'on a sur le plan national. Mais j'aimerais aussi souligner que même si la Tunisie a ratifié la plupart des conventions de protection des droits des femmes. Par exemple, pour la CEDAW, la Tunisie, la Tunisie a fini par soulever ses réserves sur la question de genre, sur l'interprétation de la notion de genre, mais elle a quand même gardé un commentaire général qui mentionne que la question de genre doit être interprétée selon l'article 1er de la Constitution tunisienne et en respectant que l'islam est la religion de l'État. Donc ça aussi, c'est important à dire, que là, voilà, on reste aussi un peu coincé dans ce cadre. Je ne sais pas comment est-ce qu'on peut dépasser ça. C'est un autre débat, mais je serais aussi contente d'apprendre des autres intervenants et intervenantes pour comment on peut être plus présente aussi et plus représentée dans la Commission africaine.
Thank you. I have a I commend African Commission Forum and speak out. It's not an easy thing to do, I imagine. Secondly, I would like to ask if there are phenomena of intrusive examinations other than the anal forensic examinations, such as virginity tests. Is this something with women? Virginity tests for women. This is something that we have in Egypt. Female prisoners, where they are detained, they are examined in a very humiliating way to establish whether they are. It's not scientific. It doesn't prove anything or disprove anything. But maybe this is something also to look at. I'm not sure, you know better the context in Tunisia. Where I'm left a bit hungry for an answer is what is the solution when it comes to the arrest or detention of a trans person or an LGBTQ plus person. So I understand that a male prison or a female prison may not be, that would endanger them. But then am I right to assume that the solution is to have a special detention place for LGBTQI persons? With the assumption that the person might have committed a legitimate crime. I'm not advocating for the arrest of an LGBTQ person for their identity or for their sexual orientation or anything. No. But with the assumption that maybe in theory somebody may commit a crime that requires arrest or detention, where is it that custody place that you imagine is a place you would say we want this place to be preserving the dignity of the prisoner who is an LGBTQ identity? Thank you.
No, I just tell that Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
I'll repeat.
Yeah,
because
sir,
I'll
thank you.
repeat.
La première partie, c'est okay. Thank you for the opportunity and for the forum as well. I think my colleague Spongile will speak about the SOGI related events and activities related to access. So I won't speak about that, but I wanted to speak about the question of solidarity. I think it came up in a lot of the presentations. So I was just noting that while the commission is a very important and effective space that we must use because of the commission's mandate, both to promote and to protect rights of people across the continent. I just wanted to mention that the work of building solidarity is actually work, right? Like we must put in the work to actually make the connections across the different regions and across the different parts of the continent that we all come from. So I just want to commend us for already starting to make those connections. And also just noting to us in the room, myself and all the people and organizations present, that we also must be intentional in building these solidarity and in building these relationships and connections. And so I'm excited to be able to move forward from this conversation and build the solidarity in the different work that we do on gender justice and SOGI related rights. Yeah.
Bonjour. Merci beaucoup pour les présentations. J'ai une question. Je ne sais pas si c'est vraiment une question qui est abordée dans la société féministe tunisienne, mais c'est une question à laquelle je pense énormément. Bon, la Tunisie, ce que l'État vit aujourd'hui, c'est du populisme, et ce que le président actuel fait, c'est un peu aussi ce qui se reproduit dans le monde entier, dans plusieurs régimes populistes. Et aussi, lorsqu'on analyse un peu ce qui se passe dans le monde, surtout au niveau des droits des femmes, on voit qu'il y a une remise en cause des droits des femmes, puisque les obsessions anti-genre ou anti-femmes sont des obsessions qui existent partout dans les plusieurs régimes populistes. Est-ce que la Tunisie, où le droit de l'avortement, qui est un droit reconnu, qui a été arraché par des mobilisations féministes, est-ce qu'aujourd'hui c'est un droit qui est remis en cause? Est-ce que vous, en tant que personne féministe ou société civile féministe, pensez à cette question-là, ou est-ce qu'il y a dans le discours public politique une remise en cause de ce droit même? Ou voilà, je voulais juste savoir si, parce qu'on le voit très bien aux États-Unis, on le voit en Pologne, on le voit en Hongrie. Est-ce que c'est une question qui est pertinente en Tunisie, ou est-ce qu'il y a un consensus sociétal sur la question? Merci.
Bonsoir, merci pour l'opportunité. Je travaille pour un partenaire qui investit dans la protection des défenseurs des droits de l'homme, et il me semble que certaines interventions ont touché un peu sur la question de protection ou des violences contre les défenseurs. Je pense notamment à l'intervention ici. La question est de savoir quelles sont les dispositions en matière de protection des défenseurs des droits humains en Tunisie. Je parle notamment des organisations internes qui font ce travail et peut-être externes. Et dans ces dispositions, est-ce que les organisations des causes LGBTQI se retrouvent ou bénéficient de ces protections? Juste pour savoir s'il y a une marginalisation des défenseurs qui travaillent sur cette question spécifique dans ce domaine global. Merci. I would be brief then. I work for an organization supporting protection, human rights defenders protection. And my question was, in the context of Tunisia, what are the mechanisms internally to support defenders facing reprisal or attacks? And if there is a mechanism, civil society-based mechanism, would the LGBTQI defenders be covered within that mechanism, or they are still marginalized in that context? Thanks.
I can ask Mr. Lotfi for the first part of his question about les tests de virginité, the virginity tests. Ok, est-ce que tout à l'heure quand tu as posé la question, est-ce que c'était par rapport, est-ce que c'était genre dans les commissariats au poste de police ou en général? D'accord. Ok. Si on va parler de l'instrumentalisation de ça au commissariat, non, c'est presque inexistant. Par exemple, à la TFD, on n'a jamais reçu, même maintenant, dans ce contexte-là, on fait pas de tests de virginité pour les femmes, quelles que soient les circonstances. Ça n'existe plus. Avant, il y en avait. Et ça se pratiquait. Et surtout, au temps de Ben Ali. Ça s'est fait. Je me rappelle qu'on avait quelques témoignages, mais ça, c'était avant. Par contre, ce qu'il existe maintenant, et ce qui nous a choqués récemment, c'est l'humiliation d'une militante, Sonia Dahmeni, par agression sexuelle. Voilà. Elle a subi, Sonia Dahmeni, elle a été torturée lors pas de son arrestation, mais en prison, et par une fuite corporelle. Et la policière a introduit, je reprends parce que ça a été dit publiquement, donc c'est pour ça que je reprends le témoignage, que le monde l'entende, oui. Sonia Dahmeni, qui est une militante, qui est une avocate, qui est une journaliste, qui a seulement voulu dire la vérité par rapport aux conditions de détention des migrants en Tunisie. C'est pour ça qu'elle est en prison. Elle est en prison parce qu'elle était solidaire avec les personnes migrantes et elle a subi une agression sexuelle. Elle a été torturée pour ça. Donc, il n'y a plus de torture et d'humiliation par agression sexuelle systématiquement, mais ça existe, ce genre de bavure et ce genre d'humiliation ciblée pour certaines. Voilà.
Merci Wahiba d'avoir mentionné cette convention. Ça m'a rappelé d'une convention aussi de 119 sur la protection des femmes dans les lieux de travail, que l'État tunisien a reçu pas mal de recommandations dans l'examen périodique universel par rapport à la ratification de cette convention. Et dans la réponse officielle de l'État tunisien par rapport à cette convention, l'État tunisien a dit mot par mot que nous ne pouvons pas et nous n'allons pas ratifier cette convention parce que on a l'article 230 du Code pénal, on ne peut pas et on ne va pas la ratifier. Donc, c'était bien clair et bien strict. Pour la question où on peut mettre les personnes trans. C'est vraiment, je pense que c'est pas vraiment la question que peut être posée par rapport à et surtout la situation des prisonniers dans les prisons en Tunisie. Et m'a visité les prisons. Ils savent très très bien comment ça se passe dans les prisons. Et par rapport à la communauté LGBT, ce qu'on demande, c'est la protection de ces personnes-là. C'est le fait de avoir en tête que qu'est-ce que tu as gagné par le fait que tu as mis des personnes LGBT sur la base de leur orientation sexuelle et identité de genre. Qu'est-ce que ça va changer finalement? Ça va de coûter pas mal d'argent sur l'État. Tu vas héberger et faire manger les personnes dans les prisons. Le problème est que le nombre de personnes qu'il y a, selon le dernier rapport, je pense, de la Ligue, que ça a dépassé les 300% de la capacité, 200% de la capacité de prison à pouvoir à part tout ça. Où on peut mettre les personnes transgenres? Je me demande aussi. Je n'ai pas de réponse, honnêtement.
I would like to jump off of what Nejia was saying about the question of detaining queer people. It's a matter of what a special detention facility will look like. Will it be more humane to queer people based on their identities, or will it be more discriminatory due to the discrimination that the state already enforces? Will it only be for transgender people, or will also gay men, for example, who are isolated in Tunisian prisons, also be subject to this protection because they also live through multiple types of aggression in jail or in detention? What about queer people who are jailed under different legal provisions? So Articles 230 and 226 repeated are the ones that are mainly used to criminalize queer people. But what if a queer person steals something and goes to jail for that? Will they be like subject to the special detention facility or not? So these are questions that make it, I think, a lot more complicated than just tackling the central issue, which is abolishing discriminatory practices within the carceral system. Exactly. So what needs to be done is a reform of the carceral system that allows people to be rehabilitated rather than jailed to be punished. So this is, to me, the central question. I also want to acknowledge something that was said about anti-gender movements. So I would just like to acknowledge that anti-gender movements are not only harming queer people, they are harming women in general. Certain women, cis women, who have been women their entire lives and who are clearly labeled as women by their own states, by their own societies, are also struggling under these regressive and quite frankly, sexist systems. So this is a matter of ensuring that there's nothing about us without us. There's nothing about women that is, or African women specifically, that comes from Europe, or nothing about women that is enforced by men. There needs to be systems in place to ensure that women are the leaders in their own questions, are the people who tell us what is needed to be done, and are the people who lead the efforts to correct what they see as their own problems. Because I assure you, the queer women and trans women are not the people that most cisgendered women are concerned about. So yeah. And about the question of legal protections for queer organizations and activists, human rights defenders. Thank you so much. I'm sure you also intended to speak on this, but I just want to say that queer organizations are also offering this legal support, these legal protections to human rights defenders in general. So yes, it is like queer human rights defenders are supported, are subject to legal aid, but it is done by queer and allied organizations and not by a more broad, let's say, system in Tunisia. Thank you so much.
Oh, just I want to add something which is going to take maybe less than 2 minutes. Yeah, I would like to say that the convention CEDAW is not perfect, as we tend to think, because the general recommendation 35 is not legally binding in the same way that treaties are. And that's why there is a coalition, and I can speak about this coalition as I am the member of this international coalition, which is called Every Woman Treaty. So we are thinking about, we are working on, in a protocol which elaborates on violence against women and girls. This protocol is optional. The optional protocol is intended to be based on or integrated the general recommendation 35. Why? Because CEDAW is not covering 70% of women from the south of the globe. So we are thinking about, first of all, we thought about a treaty to cover this 70% of women, and then we say, okay, we discussed with the Commission of CEDAW, and we are now leading advocacy for optional protocol. And until now, 4 countries only, adopted this optional protocol, which are Costa Rica, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sierra Leone, Antigua and Barbuda. They have formally called for this, for the adoption of this new optional protocol to CEDAW. That's what I want to add. It's an information.
This session, for anyone who is coming into this place, it is important to remember the following. Number 1, you are the solution to the problem. Most of the time, we expect the African Commission to do things, pass a resolution, implement a decision, and all of that. But that's a lot of work that's done by civil society, because you have to push to make it happen. The quality of your engagement is going to determine what happens to the causes that you seek to pursue here. The quality of the relationships that you build in order to get solidarity is important. So we can talk about all manner of divisions, you know, the North, the Sub-Saharan, the East, and whatever. What is important is that everyone who's here says, I care about what happens to the African human rights system. And what is going to make a difference is really the quality of the engagement. You will not stop me if I get started about what I think are the limitations or the flaws in civil society's engagement in the African human rights system. But on the questions of anti-gender and anti-rights movement, there is a working group that has been set up. So I encourage you to go to room 1 to know more, because as they correctly pointed out, it's not about queer people, but it's also not just about women and queer people. These are anti-rights groups. They are anti-democracy. They are about dismantling the institutions that we know. They are after academic freedom. They are after freedom of expression. They are after everything. The biggest example of this is what's happening in the US. They went for single cause people. They got issues. They got people to vote because they were anti-abortion, because they were anti-trans. But that was something used to coalesce the majority. What they want is to create the world where billionaires get everything. So we can look at it very narrowly and see it is about queer women, but we actually have to see these are people who are attacking accountability mechanisms, imposing sanctions against accountability mechanisms officials. This is what we are looking at. And I don't want to scare you, but these groups have been here, are here at the African Commission. A group called Ordo Iuris set up offices last month in Arusha. It's a Polish organization that is doing anti-rights work, and their focus is on accountability mechanisms. They have set their eyes on legislative bodies. They are hosting these family values conferences across the continent. If you want to know more and join the working group on that, you can go to room 1 tomorrow. There are 3 sessions in room 1 that are looking at issues of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. This is a group that's responsible for adopting Resolution 275. So those are some of the spaces that you can. More importantly, a pressing issue is this new African Union Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls, which was adopted in February. There was just a session right now at the NGO Forum. We believe that it is nonsensical, shambolic, and unusable. And so our advocacy is about pushing back and telling the African Union to either fix it or bin it because it does not make sense. We have an entire website, www.aucevawg, that is supposed to help us to push back. We have a campaign you can join. We have a desk that is set out up there. And that's hopefully where we will meet each other and continue to do this important work of protecting the rights of queer folk and women at the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Thank you very much for your time.